Watching it, you come to realise what an institution Red Dwarf is to British television and indeed to British science fiction. So I'm sure you're very much excited to meet the next individual to come out on the stage, because he is an institution of that institution, acting in every single episode of Red Dwarf. So without further ado, I won't spend a whole lot of time introducing him because there's someone else to do that for me. Would you please welcome to the stage Mr. Jordan Farley. Good afternoon, everyone! Did you all enjoy the lovely Keeley Hawes? Wasn't she fantastic? Right then, well, the man I'm about to bat on the stage with me is the star of the most successful sci-fi sitcom of all time, where he plays the last surviving member of the human race, and of course, the biggest slob in the galaxy. Give it up for Mr. Craig Charles!
A long way from Manchester. 5.5 hours in a Renault Clio. Jesus. I've got Jordan with me. Not the Jordan. Talks are in place and stuff like that, and hopefully, if it does happen, it'll happen November, December and January of next year. We'll film it for 3 months and it'll be out towards the middle to end of next year. You ready?
Did you have any concerns or apprehensions about returning to the role after so many years off the air when you made Back to Earth?
Yeah, my biggest concern was it would be shit, you know. It's like, you know, Red Dwarf's got kind of like a legacy and quite a nice one, and you don't really want to sort of mess with that, you know. I'd rather just leave it alone and leave it to history and say, yeah, it wasn't that a really good TV show, rather than like revamp it and re-air it and not be as good. I didn't think the new one was as funny. I thought the story was great, you know. I thought arriving on Coronation Street and looking for the creators, and I thought that was all very inspired. I didn't think it was as funny, but I thought the look, for the money they gave us, the look that we got it to look like was absolutely stunning. And if we could get that look and get a bit more comedy in it as well, and try and look to highlights like Series 5 and Series 6, that kind of stuff. If we can achieve that, then it'd be well worth doing. If we can't, then I'd rather not do it.
So did making Back to Earth whet your appetite for returning to the role full time?
Yeah, it's good hanging out with the guys, you know. I mean, like, I started doing Red Dwarf when I was 23. I'm 46 now, so it's been a good chunk of my adult life. In fact, most of my adult life has been spent being a space bum, Dave Lister-like, and it's like one of those roles that, you know, I'm just so proud of, so happy to play. And it was just great getting back with the guys and just all the old jokes and getting the leather jacket back on and putting the dreadlocks back in and that kind of stuff. And it was like, after about 5 minutes, it was like we'd never been away. You know, Chris was still going on about fucking fixing engines and fixing cars. Robert was still apologising for everything. Danny was going, look at my six-pack guy, look at my six-pack guy. And it was just like, we'd never been away. It was brilliant. Apart from the fact that they're all getting really old. They're all grey. Like some of the youngest at the bunch, but they're all grey and stuff, you know, and they creak and they smell like old men, you know. They go to the toilet and you can see Chris going, I never remember having to used to push. You know, when he's trying to have a wee. Oh my God, we've got to do this soon, guys. We've got to do this soon.
Do you worry that's a vision of your own future?
It's grumpy old men in space. That's what it's going to be like. Yeah, I've tailed my ankle off.
Well, you've already mentioned Series 5 and 6, but what have been your particular high points in 23 years of Red Dwarf?
I particularly like doing Series 8 actually, because Chris had left for about 4 episodes, and we never thought he was going to come back. He was doing this this TV show called The British Empire, which some people liked and some people didn't, but it certainly wasn't Red Dwarf, you know. And he was like going off to do all that, and we just thought, oh, well, we all thought a bit, felt a little bit left behind, and we didn't think he was going to come back. So when he came back for Series 8, and I used to love the kill crazy stuff in Series 8, and kind of like, you know, with us all being in jail and playing basketball, and I mean, just like, it was a really great feeling filming Series 8, because it was like we were all back together, and we'd all grown up, you know, because there was a lot of rivalry between the cast and all that as you go on, because you try and protect your script, don't you? You say, oh God, he's getting all the funny lines, what about me? You know, I'm only saying, Smeghead, what's going on? You know, and you get a bit up your own backside, really. And it was Series 8 was when we all kind of put everything to rest and thought about the good of the show rather than your own personal ego, you know. I mean, difficult for me, that, Jordan.
Even after so many years on the air, and I mean the huge range success you had on Dave with the Backworth miniseries, often in the press, Red Dwarf is still referred to as kind of a cult sci-fi comedy. I mean, do you think that's justified nowadays? Or do you...
Careful with your consonants there, all right? Yeah, it is a cult, but it's actually it's the highest rating show ever on BBC Two. So like, and that'll never be beaten now. It's like 8.9, 9.1 million, and it's the highest ever rated show on BBC Two. And yeah, they still call it a cult. But I think it's because it's not mainstream telly, you know. But we were very lucky to find so many people who wants to be in our cult. You know what I mean? Because it isn't mainstream telly. And what we were trying to say is, like, you know, there is no mainstream telly, you know. It's funny or it's not funny, you know. It's attractive or it's not attractive. And I'm just so glad that a lot of people bought into the Red Dwarf cult, as it were, because it was such a cool one to do, actually, at the time. We didn't really know, you know. We thought we were doing this like little quaint little BBC Two television series. It'd be finished in a couple of episodes, and they'd take it off until it's all piss off, and I'd go back to writing poems, you know. That's what I thought my life was going to be, but it wasn't to be.
So what do you think it is about the show specifically that has kept the audience, that they've stuck with it kind of through thick and thin? Because the show's had its ups and downs.
More downs than ups, I'd say, Joe. I don't know. I'd like to answer that question by saying that's purely me, Jordan. That's purely me. I am the reason for it. No, it's the writers are when Robin Duck. All right, mate. He's not happy. Which one are you then? Get him out again, I like him. Oh, happy days, thank you very much. I've arrived. Ladies and gentlemen.
So you said before that
He was good.
he was good.
Can we get him back out?
Why not? You said before that you
go on then.
He's in a jail cell somewhere.
You told me you were in charge of this gig, mate.
Oh, they don't listen to me.
Oh, Jordan.
Well, you said before that you consider your character on the show to be caricatures to the people that play them.
Yeah.
So to what extent are you the beer drinking, curry eating slog?
I don't know what you're on about, mate. Yeah, we are kind of quite caricatures. Chris is a collector. Chris Barry, he doesn't collect telegraph poles, but he collects old cars and old motorbikes. He does them up and he drives them round. He's into engines. He can talk to you about carburettors in the pub. And you're like, Chris, you know. And Robert is full of middle-class angst and guilt, and he'll apologise for even his own existence. And Danny's such a fucking show-off. He's such a show-off, you know. He's like, hey, all right, Dan. And he's like a cross between James Brown and Little Richard, you know. And then I have been known to take large amounts of substances. And not get out of bed in the morning. That kind of thing. My personal hygiene's a lot better than this, is that? Come here, Jordan, smell me. Lovely that.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
That's what's going to be working for me tonight. What's blue and fucks old ladies? Me in me lucky blue coat.
Very good.
We stopped off at a pub on the way because it was a long journey, and there was a guy in the pub with black socks, black shorts, black top with a whistle in his mouth. I thought, he's going to kick off in a minute. I filled the escort with diesel last night. She died. Sorry mate, carry on.
No, well, you know what?
Don't want to get in the way of a really good interview.
Well, in fact, I think I've been hogging this mic for long enough now, and I know there are plenty of people in this audience who I'm sure want to ask you a question.
Oh, no geography questions. I'm really not good at geography. I thought Cambersands was about 15 minutes from Manchester.
So anyone who wants to ask a question, there's a standing mic in the middle of the room, so run to it now before everyone else gets there.
Oh, you could run faster than that. No one, because no one wants to talk to me. I'm a broken down old TV star. Hello. Hello. How are you? I'm really good actually. I'm enjoying myself. Can't believe there's that many people in Pontins.
So for you, Craig.
I feel as though I'm missing out on something, do you know what I mean? I booked the last 2 weeks in July. They knocked it down either. I think we're going to knock it down tonight, kid. Alrighty. Oh, sorry, your question.
So I think the question that everyone really wants to know is what your favourite robot from Robot was.
Well, listen, you know, there's like, I haven't got a computer or anything like that. I've got a 13-year-old daughter, Anna Jo. She kind of does all of that kind of stuff, especially when I'm doing crosswords. Anna Jo, can you look up? And she does. But anyway, apparently there's a campaign on the internet to bring Robot Wars back. So please join, because I'd love to do it again. It was absolutely brilliant to do. I think my favourite house robot would be Matilda. Because she was lovely when, 100 kilos of death. Dead lovely. I mean, these robots were absolutely massive, that was a complete chainsaw. That was her tail. That's how big they were. But my favourite competitor was Hypno-Disc. It was just like, you could have heard the noise when it started. It was like, you thought, it's going to be hell now. In fact, Hypno-Disc is what got us taken off the air, because we had these big, thick macrolon screens, which are supposed to protect the audience from the carnage of the robots. But every time the Hypno-Disc hit a robot, it'd fly towards these macrolon screens at some kind of supersonic kind of speed, and they'd start cracking the macron. These are bomb-proof things, They start cracking the macron, and the big fear was one day it's going to go through that, and you're going to have like a robot, 100 kilos with axes, chainsaws, in the middle of the audience, going absolutely apeshit, And they thought, we can't really countenance that. Health and safety, they always get in the way. So that's the reason we came off the air. But I'd love to do it again. But it just got to the stage where it was very testosterone based, it was very macho, and the roboteers just like thinking of more and more and more ingenious ways of killing you. And then the National Wheelchair Association were really upset with us because they wrote us a letter saying, can you please stop making this show, or ask the roboteers to use different forms of energy, because we're running out of batteries for the wheelchairs. So you find yourselves in a situation where people can't go to the shops in their little shop and drive wheelchair things because the engine's kicking the shit out of something else on the telly. It's like, so, yeah. But I'd love to do it again. twist my hand.
Thank you.
Just one more thing real quick.
Oh, that was 2 questions.
I know, sorry, this isn't really a question, more of like a favour.
Alrighty then.
Can I have a hug?
Oh, no, can I have a hug? Come on then. It's not bad work, you can get it, Jordan, is it? Hook mode! Oh, now you're joking.
Who's next?
Right, I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but
I've got a few suggestions.
Absolutely.
okay, so what I was going to ask was, I don't know whether anyone here has read the Red Dwarf novels, but I was just wondering if you'd ever considered like adapting them or making them into a TV show or into a film or...
Well, the first few Red Dwarf novels, first 2 especially, they were written after the series, so they were just kind of like taking the series and turning it into model form, kind of cashing in really, if we're honest.